A red car halts in front of a bank and three seasoned robbers named Buddy, Darling, and Griff swiftly exit the vehicle and storm into the building. The driver, a young man called Baby, remains in the car, his attention fixed on the song Bell Bottoms, which plays through his headphones. Baby is a melomaniac, deeply passionate about music, and he immerses himself in the rhythm as he waits. Moments later, the robbers return, and Baby expertly drives them away, maneuvering through the city to evade the pursuing police. His exceptional driving skills become evident as he navigates through numerous obstacles. Eventually, a police helicopter joins the chase, but Baby skillfully deceives the authorities by swapping places with another red car under a bridge. He then enters a parking lot, switches vehicles, and escapes. Later, Baby gets coffee for the team while listening to Harlem Shuffle and delivers it to their hideout, where their leader, Doc, distributes the stolen money. Despite Griff's attempts to intimidate Baby about his music habit, Baby remains unfazed. Doc keeps most of Baby's share to settle a debt, leaving him with $10,000, a pair of gloves, and a disposable phone for the next job. Returning home to his foster father, Joseph, Baby hides his share of the stolen money under the floorboards. Joseph advises Baby to steer clear of illicit activities, warning him that the money doesn't rightfully belong to him. Later, Baby uses recordings of his interactions with Doc and the other robbers to create remixed songs, storing these tracks on labeled cassette tapes. Among them is a tape marked Mom, which holds sentimental value as it reminds Baby of the good times he had with his mother. He recalls how his parents frequently fought and ultimately died in a car accident caused by one of their arguments. Sometime later, Baby visits a diner and notices a beautiful waitress named Deborah, who sings as she walks past him. Captivated, Baby records her humming with his tape recorder. When Deborah returns to take his order and notices him recording, they strike up a conversation, leading Baby to ask about the song she is singing. Later, Baby visits a music store and finds the exact song he's been searching for. One day, he receives a call from Doc offering him a new job. Baby meets with Doc, who introduces him to a new team: Eddie, No-Nose, JD, and Bats. The team is curious about Baby's constant music listening, and Doc explains it's due to tinnitus from a childhood accident. Baby uses music to drown out the buzzing. This is Baby's last job to repay his debt to Doc. During the briefing, Bats doubts Baby's attention, but Baby answers Doc's detailed questions perfectly, showing he's been listening. The next day at the heist location, Baby waits in the car with his music while the others rob an armored van. When Bats kills the guard, they flee, pursued by a Marine. Baby's driving skills help them escape, but not without tension, as Bats accuses Baby of deliberately causing him to miss a shot at the Marine. They switch cars in a parking lot and return to Doc to split the money, only to find JD is missing. Doc gives Baby his share and instructs him to dispose of JD's body, as the police could trace them through JD's lost gun. Baby takes the car to a junkyard, wrecks it, and is haunted by childhood flashbacks. Baby frequents the diner where Deborah works, and they bond over their love of music. Deborah is surprised to learn his name is actually Baby. They spend more time together, including a visit to a laundromat where Baby opens up about his hearing problems resulting from the accident that killed his parents. Following Joseph's advice, Baby seeks a normal job and becomes a pizza delivery boy, growing closer to Deborah. One night, while dining in a fancy restaurant, Baby encounters Doc, who pressures him into participating in more robberies, threatening Deborah and Joseph if he refuses. The next day, Doc takes Baby to a post office to plan the next heist, assigning him to scout the location with Doc's grandson, Sam, to avoid suspicion. Inside, Baby surveys the cameras, windows, and staff, while Sam impressively recounts these details. After interacting with a friendly cashier, Baby and Sam return to report their findings to Doc. Later, Baby calls Deborah at the diner and asks her to run away with him. He then meets Doc to plan a new robbery and finds Buddy, Darling, and Bats there, breaking Doc's rule of not using the same crew for more than one heist. Doc outlines their plan for the post office and instructs the gang to buy new weapons from an arms dealer known as the Butcher. On their way to the meeting, Bats asks Baby to stop at a store, during which Darling confides in Buddy that Bats' behavior makes her uncomfortable. Although Buddy offers to kill Bats for her, Darling insists they wait until after the robbery. At the warehouse, the Butcher displays various guns and rifles, but chaos erupts when Bats suddenly shoots the Butcher, leading to a violent gunfight. Darling is wounded and Bats goes on a rampage, eventually throwing a grenade into a car, causing an explosion. Bats claims the Butcher and his men were undercover cops. As they drive back, Bats forces Baby to stop at the diner despite knowing Deborah is working. Inside, Deborah notices Baby's distress, but doesn't reveal she knows him. When Bats pulls a gun to avoid paying the bill, Baby intervenes, stopping him. Bats realizes Baby's connection to Deborah and leaves without causing more trouble. Baby pays the bill and leaves a note for Deborah saying, "Road trip at 2 a.m. The gang returns to Doc, who declares the mission a failure. Bats insists they killed undercover cops, and Buddy and Darling support his story, though Baby is skeptical. Doc, aware the police will soon be after them, suggests calling off the heist. However, the gang insists on proceeding, and when Doc asks Baby's opinion, he suggests they rest and carry out the job in the morning. Later that night, Baby attempts to sneak out at 2 a.m. to meet Deborah, but is intercepted by Buddy and Bats. Suspicious of Baby, Bats seizes his tape recorder and knocks him out. Baby awakens at Doc's table and explains that the tapes are just remixes, playing some as proof. Meanwhile, Deborah waits for Baby at the diner. The next morning, the gang heads to the heist location, with Buddy posing as a hostage alongside Darling while Bats sneaks in. Baby waits in the car and recognizes the cashier from the post office, warning her not to enter. She returns with a guard, but as they approach, the gang emerges and Bats kills the guard. When Baby hesitates to start the car, Bats threatens him, prompting Baby to drive into a truck with iron rods, killing Bats. The police arrive and the gang attempts to flee. Buddy and Darling engage in a shootout with the cops while Baby escapes on foot, changing his appearance in a shopping mall. Despite this, the police continue their pursuit. Baby exits the mall, steals a car, and catches up with Buddy and Darling. During a shootout, Darling is killed and Baby flees, commandeering an elderly woman's car. He plays his song on the radio and returns her purse before leaving. Returning home, Baby finds his apartment ransacked and Joseph injured on the floor. He calls the diner, but Deborah's boss answers and informs him that Baby is coming. Baby collects his money hidden in the floorboards and takes Joseph to a nursing home. Finally, Baby apologizes to his foster father for disappointing him and leaves while the police are still searching for him. He heads straight to the diner to find Deborah, but discovers Buddy inside, who blames Baby for Darling's death and threatens to kill Deborah. A policeman briefly distracts Buddy by entering the diner, allowing Baby to grab Buddy's gun and shoot him. When another policeman checks on Buddy, Buddy shamelessly shoots him as well. Baby then calls Doc from a payphone, who tells him not to call again. Baby and Deborah steal a car from two hippie boys and go to Doc's place. Baby asks Doc for the tapes in exchange for the money from the post office heist. Initially reluctant, Doc agrees when he sees Deborah with Baby and also gives them money to flee the country. As they leave, they encounter the butcher's men who want to kill them. Doc manages to shoot some of them, but is ultimately shot himself. Buddy arrives in a police car, runs over Doc, and begins chasing Baby. In the ensuing confrontation, Baby manages to shoot at Buddy and jump over his car. He and Deborah get into Doc's car with Buddy in pursuit. Baby eventually forces Buddy's car over a railing, knocking it over. Baby approaches the wreckage to check on Buddy, who suddenly appears and shoots around Baby's ear, deafening him. Deborah intervenes by hitting Buddy, causing him to drop his gun. Baby seizes the opportunity, picks up the gun, and shoots Buddy in the leg. Buddy falls over the railing and dies. The next morning, as Baby and Deborah set out on their trip, they encounter a police blockade on a bridge. Deborah tries to flee, but Baby stops her, kisses her, and surrenders to the police. Baby is tried for the thefts, and various people, including the post office cashier and the woman whose car he stole, testify on his behalf, portraying him as non-threatening. The judge sentences Baby to 25 years in prison with the possibility of parole in 5 years. While incarcerated, Baby receives letters from Deborah about the places they will visit when he is released. After 5 years, Baby is finally freed and reunited with Deborah.